China warns of a counterattack on the US. How Apple is helping China censor in Taiwan. You won't believe what's in the water. That and more on this week's China News Headlines. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. This episode is sponsored by CuriosityStream. It's great for people like you who love watching videos and learning cool stuff. CuriosityStream has a huge selection of documentaries and nonfiction TV shows. I'll show you more at the end. So, China is vowing retaliation against the United States. That's over an investigation into the origin of the coronavirus ordered by the Biden administration. Yes, the Chinese Communist Party really hates it when anyone even hints the virus may have come from a lab leak in China. Well, the good news for the Chinese Communist Party is that the report is inconclusive. The report is still currently classified, but China warned it would counterattack if China were blamed. Fu Cong, a Chinese foreign ministry official, said if they want to baselessly accuse China, they better be prepared to accept the counterattack from China. That's serious, if the counterattack is as devastating as this rap about Fort Detrick by, and this is true, a Chinese government-sponsored gangster rap group.
Fort Detrick weighs it off limits. Nazi doctors will hire war criminals from Unit 730 while human experiments happen. Gun, what kind of devil still have the sign? Fort Detrick, more like a witch's cauldron.
And yet, despite those sick beats, the Chinese regime is calling Biden a laughingstock. My favorite Chinese state-run media, Global Times, interviewed a virology doctor from Wuhan who said having an intelligence team to look for virus origins is ridiculous enough. And it's unsurprising that Biden would end up with no definitive answer. But if Biden seeks another investigation, it will downgrade his administration's credibility and make it a laughingstock. Oh please, laughingstock? Is that the best you've got? Do you have any idea what conservative media in the US call Biden? You're gonna have to try way harder than that, Global Times. We may never get definitive proof the coronavirus came from a Chinese lab. But you know what is coming from Chinese labs? Fentanyl. Lots of it. Overdoses in the US spiked in 2020. 93,000 deaths. And most of those deaths were linked to Chinese-made fentanyl. According to a new report by the US-China Economic and Security Review Commission, China is the primary source of illicit fentanyl and fentanyl-related substances trafficked into the United States. And it turns out, China isn't being very cooperative in helping US authorities track down Chinese dealers. Chinese regulatory authorities delay requests for access to inspect and investigate potential sites. Requests are often delayed for days, allowing any illegal operation to vacate or clean up the premises. Surely the Chinese Communist Party, which controls almost every aspect of Chinese society, couldn't be using fentanyl as a coordinated drug warfare campaign against the US, just like there's no way the coronavirus leaked from a Chinese lab. You know what else is coming to the US from China? Fluoride. More specifically, Chinese fluoride is being added to the drinking water in a town in Michigan. Now, if that scares you, don't worry. The town's utilities director said the water plant has used Chinese fluoride for years without any problems. And yes, I know that tainted blood thinner from China killed a bunch of Americans a decade ago. But if that town in Michigan has been using Chinese fluoride in their water for years without any problems, then I say, what could go wrong? More after the break. Welcome back. In case you were wondering if China is still a communist country, the answer is yes, it is. Party control over the economy has wiped out $500 billion from China's markets in just a week. And that's just a drop in the bucket compared to how much has been lost in an ongoing party crackdown.
China's top companies lost about $3 trillion compared with their peak value this year. That's about 1.5 times the size of Apple and far exceeds most countries' GDP. Beijing's tightened control is making these companies' market value fall. These enterprises include consumer businesses, pharmaceuticals, and internet-related businesses.
Oh, wow. I just hope that doesn't affect Chinese fluoride production. You know who isn't worried about the China market? The world's largest asset management firm, BlackRock. In fact, BlackRock is recommending investors triple their investments in China. Yes, why lose hundreds of millions of dollars in China when you could lose billions? In what I'm sure is a total coincidence. Earlier this year, BlackRock became the first foreign company allowed to run their own mutual fund in China. You know, some people say that Wall Street is failing to protect American investors from the Chinese Communist Party. Why would they think that? Chinese telecom company Huawei is a national security threat. That's something that the Obama and Trump administrations agreed on. It didn't happen all that often. By the end of the Trump administration, the US had put a blanket ban on Huawei. Well, guess what? Huawei's back, baby! Huawei can now buy US-made microchips to put in Chinese cars. Apparently, the Biden administration has approved license applications worth hundreds of millions of dollars for China's blacklisted telecom company Huawei to buy chips for its growing auto component business. Now, this is strange. Back in March, the Biden administration expanded limits on Huawei. So this makes no sense. Man, what were they drinking? Uh-oh. You know, it's been 7 months since Biden took office, and there's still no formal trade policy when it comes to China. What's going to happen with the trade war? All the tariffs? Well, U.S. Trade Representative Katherine Tai says the Biden administration is finally getting around to reviewing its trade policy with China. Anyway, Tai said they are committed to addressing China's unfair trade policies and non-market practices that undermine American businesses and workers. Which is certainly the right thing to say. But speaking of the right thing to say, Vice President Kamala Harris is touring Asia, and she has some harsh words about China's activity in the South China Sea.
In the South China Sea, we know that Beijing continues to coerce, to intimidate, and to make claims to the vast majority of the South China Sea.
That was in Singapore. Before her trip to Vietnam, China went on the offense. Harris's flight was delayed by 3 hours. Beijing quickly sent its envoy in Hanoi to meet with Vietnam's prime minister and pledged a donation of 2 million vaccine doses, undercutting the subsequent U.S. announcement. Now, even though the Chinese Communist Party is undermining the U.S. when it comes to vaccines and is refusing to cooperate on fentanyl crackdowns, there's still hope for this relationship. At least in the mind of U.S. climate envoy John Kerry. He plans to travel to China in September to collaborate on climate change. Maybe while he's there, he can do something about the Chinese fluoride in our water. I know technically that has nothing to do with climate change, but China isn't going to actually do anything to fight climate change since they're just building more and more coal power plants. Where's my cup of water? I'll be back after this short commercial break. Welcome back. So as long as we're all taking crazy pills, China is reporting 0 COVID cases again. That's right, for months, China was reporting 0 COVID cases in places like Beijing and Wuhan. Then the Delta variant came. But after putting a few million under lockdown, enforced with some razor wire, and a little forced testing, now China's back to 0 cases. Wow, authoritarianism really works. Hey, John Kerry, take some notes while you're in China, will you? People here in the US just have too much freedom. If you'd like to see more about China's effective handling of COVID, check out my recent episode. China's COVID quarantine camps and force COVID testing. Japan and Taiwan are in talks right now about how to counter Chinese aggression. Taiwan's Foreign Minister, Joseph Wu, said China dreams of emulating the Taliban, which is such a coincidence because the Taliban dreams of emulating China. A Taliban spokesman said he hopes China can play a very big role in rebuilding Afghanistan. That's a positive experience dealing with terrorists. Meanwhile, a Pakistani suicide bomber targeted Chinese workers and instead killed 2 children. That's a negative experience dealing with terrorists. We know China heavily censors its internet. But now, thanks to the research group Citizen Lab, we know that censorship is expanding to Hong Kong and even Taiwan. And we have Apple to thank. They looked at Apple product engraving, the service where you order an Apple device with a customized word or phrase on it, like, "I hate pandas." Well, Citizen Lab found that part of Apple's mainland China political censorship bleeds into both Hong Kong and Taiwan. Much of this censorship exceeds Apple's legal obligations in Hong Kong, and we are aware of no legal justification for the political censorship of content in Taiwan. For example, the phrase freedom of the press is censored in both mainland China and Hong Kong. Falun Gong is censored in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. And for some reason, even Chairman Mao is censored in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. But the word Nazi is apparently A-OK. This is fine. At least there are still some good things in this world, because this episode has been sponsored by CuriosityStream. CuriosityStream is a streaming platform with dozens of collections of fascinating TV shows, including award-winning and original programming. For example, Confucius, Genius of the Ancient World. It's the story of how Confucius grew up in a challenging time of war and chaos, and set out to put the world in order with his philosophy of a perfectly ordered society. That included improving one's own moral character and respecting family. Some rulers appreciated this. Others did not. With CuriosityStream, you can watch that and thousands of other streamable documentaries and nonfiction shows on topics like history, nature, science, food, technology, and travel. So click the link below and use the code China Uncensored to get our special deal, just $14.99 for the entire year. You can watch CuriosityStream from your phone, tablet, or computer anywhere, anytime. So click the link below and check it out. I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.